Hello everyone, welcome back again to AutoCAD channel with AutoCAD 3D modeling basic tutorial how to create a Pubg quad pose. Okay, open your AutoCAD software and first I will change into left view. Next we create a rectangle, start from this point with dimension for length 280 and then for width 134 and enter. Okay, I will click at this point. Next, we create line, start from this point to the top here, 256. Okay, and I will click at this point. Next, you can rotate this line object from this point with rotation angle 5 and enter. I will move this line object to the right here 10, and then we use mirror command to mirror this line object, start from this point into this point and enter. Okay, I will create a line, start from this point to the top, and then you can use trim command, okay, to extend this line object. And I will extend this line object. Next, you can trim at this object. Okay, we delete this line object. I will copy this object to the right here 100. Okay, and then you can use a trim command to cut in here. We create line again, start from this point into this point, and then you can use join command to join this line object. Okay, this 4 line object, enter. Okay, this object already joined. Move this line object to the left here 100, and then I will copy this line object to the top 56. Use line command to create line, start from this point into this point, and then start from this point into this point. Use join command again to combine these objects. Okay, we have these 3 objects. Next, I will create a rectangle at this point with dimension for length 177.5. okay, and then for width 188 and enter. Click at this point, copy this rectangle object to the right here, and then you can offset with offset distance 10. Okay, click this object and click inside here. Enter to finish. Orbit this to this cat, and then I will use extrude command to extrude this object into this direction 500. Okay, and next I will use offset edge. You can tap offset edge. Okay, this offset edge, select this face. We use dimension for distance 20 and then 20. Okay, use extrude command to extrude this rectangle object to the bottom here about 74, and then you can use subtract command to subtract this object with this object. Next, I will move this object into this point 10. You can extrude this object to this direction 480. Okay, and then I will change into realistic view. Okay, you can hide this object. Okay, I will hide this object. Right click, isolate and hide objects. Next, you can use offset edge. Okay, we use offset edge command. Select this face with distance 10 and then 10. Okay, extrude the last object to the top, and then I will subtract. Okay, we subtract this object with these objects. Okay, next you can move this object from middle point into middle point in here. Okay, I will change into 3D wireframe, and then you can use extrude command to extrude this rectangle object into this point, and we use subtract command to subtract this object with these objects. Okay, now I will extrude these two objects, okay, into this direction at 10, and you can use subtract command to subtract this object with these objects. Okay, you can change into set with edge to view the 3D object. Okay, I will move this object start from this point into this point, and then you can copy this object into z-axis 470 and enter. Okay, we copy this object into here. Next, you can right click isolate and object isolation. I will use extrude command to extrude this object. Okay, 500, and then change into left view. I will change into 2D wireframe, and we create line start from this point to the right here 100, move to the top 15, to the left 25, to the top 15, to the left 25. Okay, to the top 15, to the left 25, to the top 15, and the last 25. Okay, tap C to close this line command. Next, you can use a join command to combine these objects. Okay, I will orbit, and then you can use extrude command to extrude this to diskette with height of extrusion 163, and you can move this object from middle point in here into middle point at this point. Okay. I will change into front view. You can click here and click front. Next, we create a rectangle object. Okay, from this point with distance. Okay, for length 163, and then for width 262, and enter. Okay, click at this point. You can copy this object to the right here. Next, I will offset with the offset distance 10, and I will offset this object to inside there. Okay, you can use exclude command to exclude this object, and then I will delete in here. Next, you can use trim command to extend this line object, and then cut this object. Use join command to combine these all objects. Okay, next we create a rectangle start from this point into this point. Okay, we have two objects in here, 1 and 2. You can use move command to move this object start from middle point into middle point in here. Okay, and then I will use extrude command. We extrude this object, okay, into this point, and then I will copy. Okay, we copy this object from this point. Okay, we copy into this point again, close, and next you can use a subtract command to subtract this object with this object, and subtract again this object with these objects. Okay, can change into set with edge to view these 3D models. Okay, next I will extrude, okay, this object to this direction 10, and then you can move these two objects from this point, okay, into this point. You can click at this point. Okay, now change again into front view. We create a rectangle object. Okay, start from this point with dimension, okay, for length 105 and for width 188, and enter. Okay, use a copy command to copy this object to this point, and then we offset with offset distance 10. Click this object and click insert it. Okay, use move command. Okay, but first I will change into 2D wireframe, and then you can move this object, start from middle point. Okay, I will use M2P option, click in here, and then click at this point. Okay, now we create in the center of these 2 points. You can use a mirror command to mirror this object, start from middle point to the bottom, and enter. I will orbit, and then you can extrude, okay, this 2 rectangle object into this point. Next I will move these 2 objects box to this point. Okay, and you can use a subtract command to subtract this object with these 2 objects. Okay, change into realistic view to view the object. Okay, we already create hole in this point. Okay, next I will copy again this rectangle object into this point, and then change into 2D wireframe. You can move this object from middle point into middle point in here. Okay, and next I will change into back view. You can click here back. Next you can use copy command to copy this object, rectangle object, from middle point with M2P option. Okay, click in here and then click at this point. Okay, I will use mirror command to mirror this object from a middle point to the bottom here, and enter. Okay, you can orbit. Next we use extrude command to extrude this 3 sketch into this point. Okay, I will subtract this object with these 3 objects. Enter. Okay, change into realistic view, and then I will extrude this to this CAD. Can extrude this object with extrusion height 10, and next you can subtract this object with this object. Sorry, I will change into to the wireframe, and we subtract this object with these objects. Okay, use set with edge option, and then I will copy this object, start from this point into this point. Okay, we copy again in here. Okay, next I will copy to this point, and the last into this point. Okay, select this object and delete. Next, change into 2D wireframe and then change into left view. We create line. Okay, start from this point into this point, and then you can move for the last object to the right here. I will copy this line object to the top here, about 65, and then we create line, start from this point to the top here. Okay, and next we create line from this point to the right here, 10, and move to the bottom here. Okay, delete these objects, and then I will move these objects to the right here, 10. Next, you can use trim command to cut this object. Okay, this line object. And next, I will copy this object, start from this point into this point. Okay, you can change UGS. You can tap UGS, click this object, click to this point, and then click into this point. I will move this object to the right here, about 10. Okay, and then you can copy this object, start from middle point into middle point in here. Okay, next I will use a point command to create point in here, and then you can use a trim command to cut this line object. Okay, use join command to convert this object into polyline object. Okay, this already convert into polyline, and then you can extrude this 3 sketch. You can type extrude command. We extrude with height extrusion 10. Next, we move these 3 objects from this point, okay, into this point. Move again these 3 objects into this point, 10, and then I will change into top view. Okay, next you can copy, sorry, we use some mirror command to mirror these objects 1, 2, and 3 from middle point to the top here. Okay, I will move again. Okay, sorry, we copy this object, start from middle point into middle point in here. Okay, you can use a mirror command to mirror this object from middle point to the right here and enter. Okay, we create in here. Sorry, I will move these objects from middle point into middle point in here. Okay, you can use orbit command to rotate these 3D models. Okay, next I will move this object. You can change into left view. Okay, we move this object from this point to this point. Okay, change into set with edge. Now I will change again into 3D wireframe and change into left view. We create a circle. Okay, I will create circle in here with radius 5, and then I will create line start from this point into this point. You can move this line object to this point. Use trim command to cut this circle object and then delete this line objects. I will mirror this object from this point to the top. Okay, we mirror this object from this point to the top, and then move this object start from this point into this point. Okay, you can move this object to the right here. Next, I will copy these two objects from this point into this point. We copy again in here and then in here. Use move command to move this object to the top. Okay, and then I will use join command. Okay, we join this object. Okay, it's already joined, and then I will offset with offset distance from this point into this point. Click this object and click to the left here. Use a line command to create line in here, and then we create line in here. Next, you can join again these all objects. Okay, these objects already joined. Use orbit command to rotate this to this cat, and then I will extrude the last object, okay, into this point. Change into top view, and then you can use mirror command to mirror this object from middle point to the right here, and I will rotate this object from this point with copy option. Okay, into this point. Move this object to the right here. Okay, you can move to this point. And next, I will change into right view. Okay, you can use slash command. We slash this object from this point to the top. Okay, I will slash again this object from this point to the top here. Okay, next you can select this object and delete. We move this object to the top, okay, into this point, and then I will change into top view. Next, we mirror this object from middle point to the bottom and enter. Okay, I will change into front view, and then you can select this object. I will rotate this object from this point with a rotation angle like to this point. Change into set with edge to view these 3D models. Okay, we already create this simple 3D Pubg quad pose, and then we will give material into these 3D models. Okay, but first I will move this object, okay, to the top here. Okay. Next, you can change into 2D wireframe, change into top view. I will create a plane surf. You can tap plane surf from this point into this point, and then create a camera from this point into this point. Okay, change into left view, and next you can move this object to the bottom here. Okay, change into set with edge, and then you can tap AirMatte to open material browser. Okay, you can tap AirMatte. We open material browser. I will duplicate this material and give name in here for door. Okay, we duplicate again for wall up. Duplicate again, give name wall bottom. Okay, duplicate, we give a name in here for wall, and duplicate for upper object. Okay, for door you can click this material twice, and image, I will use this image. Open. You can select this face, okay, and right click, assign to selection. Next, I will active material and texture on. You can click here. Okay, select this face, and next you can use planar mapping to mapping this face. Okay, I will move from this point into this point. Okay, close, and then for up objects, can choose this image. Okay, next I will apply into this object. You can select, right click, assign to selection. Next, I will change in here for sample size width 5 and for height 20. Okay, close. Okay, we apply into this object. Next, I will create a wall. Sorry, I will use wall bottom. Okay, I will choose image, this image, and for wall up image we use this image, and for wall I will use this texture image. Okay. For bottom, you can select this object, right click, assign to selection. Okay, next I will hide this object, and then you also can select this object. So right click, isolate and hide objects. Next, to fast selecting, you can exclude these 3D models, and then I will select this surface. Okay, we selecting this surface, and apply wall material. You can right click and assign to selection. Okay, next I will select again this surface. Okay, and then we select in here. You can use box mapping. You can click here and click a box. Okay, and I will move to the bottom here. Okay, we select again this surface, and then I will use planar mapping. You can click here planar mapping, and then we move from this point to this point. Close. Right click, isolate, and then you can click end object isolation. Okay, for these objects I will apply wall up. You can right click and assign to selection. Next, you can select these 3D models, and then use box mapping. Okay, you can right click and then choose rotate option. Click here, rotate. I will rotate in right axis. Okay, we rotate into this point. Okay, and then we move this texture with box mapping. You can right click and choose again move option. I will move to the bottom. Okay, you can move to this point. Okay, next you also can move from this mark, move to the top. Okay, and we move in this point to the bottom. Okay, now for this object, first I will hide this objects. You can select, right click, isolate and hide objects, and I will select these 3D models, and in here you can apply wall material. You can right click and assign to selection. Okay, for insert here, you also can explode these 3D models to make fast selecting for this surface. Okay, I will explode, and then you can select in here. Okay, this object, right click for wall material. Okay, next I will right click isolate and object isolation. Now I will change into camera 1 view, but first we need to apply material into this Windows frame. Okay, I will create a duplicate material for a window. We'll give name a window. Okay, I will use color and change into this color. Okay, next you can hide this object. Right click isolate hide, and then select this frame. Okay, we select this frame, and next you can apply this Windows materials. Okay, close, and you can right click isolate and object isolation. Okay, I will change into camera 1 view. You can click here camera 1, and then we can close this material browser. Next I will change into set with edge. Okay, and then I will active material texture. Okay, you can use full shadows in here, and for rendering I will use hide. Render environment, I will active environment, and you can change background into solid option and change colors into white. Okay, I will change into white. You can click OK, OK, and close. Next we try to rendering these 3D models. Okay, you can click in here to render. We waiting for installing, and we waiting for a rendering process until finish into 10 level. Okay, we finished rendering process, and enough today for AutoCAD 3D modeling basic tutorial how to create a keyword post in Pubg. If you have any question about this tutorial, you can comment below this video, and see you next time in another AutoCAD 3D modeling basic tutorial.